Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Irene Celino from Cefriel in Milano, Italy. I am the coordinator of the PERCS project, which is an innovation action co-funded by the European Commission under the Horizon Europe program. So welcome to this second webinar of the PERCS webinar series. This webinar is focused today on the topic of environmental sustainability, and as always in this kind of webinars, our aim is to exchange ideas and topics with other projects also funded by the European Commission. So I will start by explaining briefly what the PERCS project is about. PERCS is about managing procedural knowledge in industry. So our idea is that employees in industry often follow procedures that are not digitized or poorly documented. And what we want to do is to help them in transfer knowledge between them and in documenting and digitizing this kind of knowledge through tools that are empowered by AI, both symbolic and sub-symbolic AI. We aim to build a procedural knowledge graph that encapsulates the knowledge of industrial procedures. And we are doing this with a consortium of 9 partners, which comprises both AI and technology partners, but also 3 use case partners which are experimenting and piloting our solutions in the manufacturing and energy sector. So the pillars of PERCS are AI technology to improve human capabilities, data to preserve, share, and reuse knowledge. And of course, as in Industry 5.0 concept, we want to keep people at the center, and so to lead and empower them to still operate efficiently and with maintaining their authority. And as I said, this kind of webinars are aimed to exchange ideas with other projects that are funded by the same framework program or by other European framework programs on topics that are, of course, relevant to PERCS as well. So as I said at the beginning, today the topic is environmental sustainability in AI and data management. And I'm not alone today, but I'm very pleased to welcome the 2 guests and speakers with me today. So welcome to Pankaj Pandey from NTNU in Norway. Welcome, Pankaj. And welcome also to Sjoerd Rongen from NTNU in the Netherlands. Hello, Sjoerd. So they are 2 representatives of 2 very interesting projects. So before starting our discussion on the topic today, I will ask each of them to say a few words about their project. So Pankaj, I will start from you. You are the coordinator of the In-Field project, which, as the logo suggests, is a lighthouse project. And I would leave the ground to you to explain us what the project is about.
Yes, thank you for the introduction and for inviting me to this forum. My name is Pankaj Pandey, and I'm a senior researcher at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, commonly known as NTNU. Though the abbreviation NTNU does not correspond to the expanded form, but still, so it's the translation where the elements are lost. And I have been managing this project In-Field since last year. We are halfway through this project. It's a 36 months project funded by the European Commission under the topic A Human-Centered and Ethical Development of Digital and Industrial Technologies. In this project, we have 30 partners, which is a mix of academic institutions, research institutions, industry partners, and SMEs. And they are representing 18 countries from the Europe, I would say, not the European Union, but Europe. And the project is divided into 4 pillars and 4 verticals. So pillars here refers to the foundational element of research, that is green AI, adaptive AI, human-centric AI, and trustworthy AI. Green AI is the task which is being led by a research institution in Norway called as SINTEF. Adaptive AI is being led by IMT Paris. Human-centric AI is being led by TUE in Netherlands, Technical University of Eindhoven. And the fourth pillar, trustworthy AI, is led by us, NTNU. Now, the research done in these four pillars are applied to the four verticals, that is the industry sectors, which are energy, healthcare, manufacturing, and space. So this is a matrix form of, you can say, research and innovation, where the research done on four pillars is mapped to and applied to four verticals. And the good thing about Enfield is that we have received almost 2.2 million euros to support and fund third-party research schemes. And for that, we have two schemes. One is called TES, that is Third-Party Exchange Scheme, which is for researchers starting from the level of PhD up to the level of associate professors. And all the participants or the applicants could come from EU countries or other Horizon and associated Horizon countries. For TIS, we have a funding scheme for innovation projects, which is up to 60,000 euros per project to fund innovation, about 6 months long innovation projects for SMEs, industry, and research institutions. So that's the gist of Enfield for you. And for any further information, please feel free to scan the QR code given here. I can be approached for any further information you need. And we will be soon announcing the third open call for TES, that is the third party exchange scheme. So if our participants are interested in applying for any of those challenges that we announce under the umbrella of four pillars and four verticals that I listed here, please feel free to apply. It gives you almost 2,400 euros per month for up to 6 months of mobility. So with this, I conclude the introduction of Enfield, and over to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Pankaj. So this is a very interesting and wide project, and the focus for you is research, but also the application to concrete cases. So this is definitely very interesting for our discussion today, because I see that there is a lot of things that are in common to the topic. I moved to Sjoerd, which is from TNO Eindhoven, and present us today a project that is funded, if I'm not wrong, by the Digital Europe program, CIRPAS 2, about digital product passports. So up to you.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe to wrap up the funding part straight away, this is a project of about 12 million in total, and it lasts 3 years, indeed, in the Digital Europe a scheme of European subsidies. The goal of the CIRPAS 2 project is to show, thanks for sharing the link as well, is to make product passports, digital product passports, a working technology that is shown to work within a number of pilot lines. So in total in the project, we have 13 of these lighthouse pilots spread across 4 different domains. The domains are textiles, electronics, construction, and tires. So tires being, the rubber tires. In all those pilot lines, we aim to show both mandatory applications for product passports. As some of us may know, there's quite a bit of legislation coming out of the European Commission right now that requires certain organizations and domains to work with product passports. But we want to go beyond that and also do non-mandatory applications, in the vision of the project, is where a lot of added value can be created for these different companies. So that's also something we want to demonstrate. One of the ways that we're doing that, and that's specifically where TNO and my work is involved in. TNO is responsible for the architecture, the IT architecture that all these pilot lines will use. So the picture on the top right here of the slide is from the recently published user stories document, which describes what functionalities this architecture needs to have, and thus what product passport functionalities these pilot lines should be able to demonstrate. So you can see here sort of the various life cycle stages and various actors that are having to deal with product passports, and then what they have to do with that in the various life cycle stages. But the idea, just to bring it back to the core really of the project, is to make this actually work, right? So there's plenty of low TRL research going on how to make this very fancy, but in CIRPAS 2 we want to create real life demonstrators. So that's the short summary, I suppose.
So thanks a lot, Sjoerd. I think it's really interesting, and I think that the two projects complement a lot, because on the one hand we have the environmental and sustainability aspect of the technology itself. And on the other hand, we have the environmental sustainability of the production. So there are two things that should go hand in hand and should help all the economy to improve, and also to have a good impact on the environment. So I would stop sharing my screen right now so that we can see each other a bit better. I want to invite all the people that joined today our webinar. If they want, they can of course introduce themselves in the chat, who you are and where you're from. And there is also the Q&A section open. So in any moment during our discussion, if you have any question, please feel free to post your question there so that we can pick them up later today in the webinar. So as I said, this is aimed to be a conversation between us. So I would start by asking, okay, now that we are all technologists, right? So we are in a very exciting moment in the year of technology, and with the new renovated interest in AI and in general the wide application of digital technologies. Of course, there is the risk to increase our carbon footprint and to have a negative impact on the environment. So, Pankaj, I will start from you. What do you think that how can we do, and what is research doing to reduce the carbon footprint of AI and digital technologies?
Right. Thank you for this question. Actually, like it happens with any new technology, AI offers both opportunities and challenges, particularly in terms of environmental and sustainability aspects. So in Enfield, we mapped our KPIs against several sustainability development goals, United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. And in terms of this environment and climate action, I think two SDGs are quite relevant here. One is SDG 13, which is about climate action directly, and then SDG 7, which is about affordable and clean energy. So in Enfield, we are trying to address these two issues through pillar green AI and vertical energy. But it's not just that these two elements, that is green AI pillar and energy vertical, are only addressing these things. Other pillars as well as other industry sectors, for instance, manufacturing or space, they too are catering to some of the needs of climate action and sustainability. I'll try to explain that in a bit. And third element, the third SDG that is partially relevant here is SDG number 17, which is about partnerships for the goals. So that's where this PERC and CIS project and Enfield, these three projects come together. Now, when we talk about AI and climate action or sustainability issues, AI's opportunity is that we can use AI technology to optimize and better plan for the ongoing actions or for better solutions. But at the same time, several research studies have been published that the AI technology is generating a lot of carbon footprint. And the data centers and other requirements are also not good for the environment in terms of the consumption or the resources required for water or cooling, power generation, and so on and so forth. So in Enfield, so far in the two open calls challenges that we announced under the umbrella of Green AI, we announced several challenges like development of Green AI measurement metrics, right? So that was one example. And also we tried to develop or propose hybrid AI models for better, you can say, resource optimization and reliability. So those are the other areas. So on one side, we are trying to measure the footprint of AI being used in different industry sectors or different pillars. And at the same time, we are trying to propose AI-based solution to deal with the issues created by AI as well as by other technologies. So it's this way we are looking at the AI and sustainability issues in Enfield. And if our participants are interested in knowing more about the technical description of the specific challenges related to green AI or the other challenges related to sustainability and environmental issues, please refer to our website. We have published, and there are some PDF documents available there, which provide one-page information for all of the challenges, with the technical description, the problem statement, and the way we want to solve it. And this could be further interesting for those who intend to apply for our third open call,
For the course,
which is likely to be announced soon. We are in the process of finalizing the challenges, that is the topics, and we plan to announce them in a couple of months. So please keep an eye on our website and our social media platforms. You will find a lot of interesting topics, not only limited to green AI or energy sector or manufacturing, but overall combination of different verticals and pillars. So that's my bit.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and you touched upon a couple of things that are really interesting, especially when you mentioned the metrics. Of course, this is a very open topic
Yes.
in research, because there's no unique way to measure the environmental impact, and so it's really interesting. Do you want to share with us maybe some example or some activities?
Yes, I can share a screen. And before that, I would like to say that we are not only limiting our research to the technical side of AI in sustainability. We are also looking at the aspects of law and regulatory aspects, standardization and other things. And so approaching this problem from a policy perspective as well. And that's why one of the calls had an open challenge on AI, green AI and policy issues. So mapping the landscape
Fantastic.
of green AI for from a policy perspective. I can share some challenges or description to show how it looks like.
Yeah, sure.
I hope you can see the screen I'm sharing now. So it's from the second open call, which we have already concluded, and the researchers are already working on these topics. So this is one challenge, green AI in the edge to cloud continuum. State of the art is briefly presented here, scientific challenges, reference activities, and expected results. And the Enfield partners who are leading this are, in this case, it is only one. It is no center based in Austria. So they are leading this particular challenge. Similarly, we announced another challenge on green AI metrics. Here you can see the state of art, scientific challenges, research activities, and the expected results. And this particular challenge is being led by two organizations in combination. One is UCM in Spain, and the other one is DTI in Denmark. Then the other challenges are, so likewise, like I said, it's a 23 pages long document. But if you check our website, you will find a description of all the various challenges we announced, and the challenges specific to green AI pillar or the energy vertical. You can see that as well. And you will find some kind of synergy between the various activities we do and the SDG goals we defined in our proposal from the perspective of UN SDGs overall. So it's something which is, I will encourage you all to check our website. And we are in the process of updating our website as well to make it more user-friendly, or you can say more to provide it a better cosmetic look, basically. So it will be easier for you to find the relevant information in the weeks to come. And so here you can see the description of various activities or the challenges we announce. I'm not getting into the technical details of each of the challenges because I don't think that would be interesting for any of the audience now. But if they have any specific questions, yes, please feel free to drop me an email or message, or even in Q&A now. So yeah.
So thanks a lot for this, Pankaj. Yes, it's definitely interesting, and I see, as you said before, it's not only green AI. In the previous webinar in this series, we talked about human-centric and trustworthy AI. So this is, of course, very, very hot topic today on the field. So maybe, Sjoerd, do you want to add something from the point of view, maybe, or of those who provide AI or data management solutions?
Right. So in the Surpass project, we're not developing any AI tooling specifically, right? We're developing a system that allows data sharing about all this product information. And sort of my underlying assumption there is that there will be AI systems that make use of this data, right? So To give an example of something that actually TNO works on in another project. So it's not a fantastical example, but it's also not one from Surpass. But if you have a lot of product information and you may already from various industry developments have a lot of information about your manufacturing environment, you could make a pretty smart decision when a new sort of a product comes in or is returned, I should say, right? Product went end of life. And you may need to make a decision as a company, is it still worth remanufacturing or repairing this product? That depends in part on the product and the history of the product. Depends on the materials of the product, because those sort of dictate what the recycling value of it would be. But it also depends on the state of your current production line, right? If it's idling, then it's sort of the opportunity cost of remanufacturing this is lower than when it would be very busy already. So putting all of that together requires information about this product, about maybe even the supply chain, about your manufacturing equipment. So what we're trying to do in other projects is bringing all of that together and seeing if we can provide some kind of advice to the operators in a manufacturing environment on what to do with this product and if it's worth remanufacturing. But in order to give that advice, we require the digital product passport information as we're trying to expose in the Surpass project. So no AI development over there, but definitely an important step being developed, I think, for these kinds of AI applications for sustainability. That's my 2 cents, I suppose.
Yeah, so thanks a lot. Yeah, indeed. I mean, also in Perks, we are seeing this, let's say, double aspect of the topic, because in Perks we are using data and AI technologies to manage this procedural knowledge. But on the other hand, the reason why we want to do this is, on the one hand, to help people to be more efficient, and so as a consequence to improve the efficiency of their industrial context, but also in one of our use cases about, as I said, the energy sector. So how people intervene within a microgrid in the scenario of the Perks project. So it is also a mix of what happens in the plant, or in this case in the grid, and what action people do, and what are the effects of their action on the environment. So it is a mix of technological problems, but also very, very concrete and impacts on the environment. So maybe Pankaj, also in your project, you are also dealing with the energy and the manufacturing case. Can you give us some examples of concrete cases that you are addressing in the project?
Right. So in general, for energy, we are looking at the aspects of optimizing the various processes and other things. Again, if you want the specifics, I can share the screen.
No, just
Okay.
tell us a
So,
couple.
right. So like I said, that in the energy sector, we are focusing more on the optimization of existing processes in terms of reliability and resilience aspects, you can say. And when it comes to manufacturing, I think a similar approach is being used. So we are not developing anything for the manufacturing sector as such, but the idea is to use AI-based models for optimization of and reliability of existing processes and the systems which are being used in the respective industries. For instance, for space sector, we have made some, you can say, novel ideas, but because of the confidentiality issues with the industry partner involved, which is Boeing, so we do not talk much about space parts. So we have to limit ourselves mostly to the energy sector, manufacturing, and healthcare. Likewise, in healthcare, we are trying to look into the analysis of medical data as well as the diagnosis part to some extent, because we have a large hospital chain called Luciadas from Portugal. So they are helping us on that side. So it's like we have industry player addressing one of the verticals, and then the research institutions mostly working on the pillars. So it's the demand of industry players in terms of what they need for their specific industry sector, and then that demand is tried to be catered by the specific pillars or the ongoing research, as well as the third-party open calls that we announce. So that's the overall idea. So it changes from open call to open call, and also from the larger project perspective that if a so it's based on a demand supply process, industry demands and the researcher supply in simple terms. But the idea is to optimize, make the solutions reliable and resilience and security aspects.
Yeah, so I see that there is this tension to fulfill somehow the expectations of industrial companies on the one hand, even because today their expectations are rising because of the new popularity of AI technology. So we also have to manage somehow the expectation that no magic will happen, but still that we can address in the most useful way, possible way, what their challenges are. So, Sjoerd, what is your experience can you make any concrete example of industry issues, or in your case also compliance, I think, issues, right?
Yeah, so I would say there's well, there are a couple of issues industry is faced with within sort of my product passport little bubble, right? On the one hand, you indeed have a pretty short-term compliance issue, right? For some companies, it's already here because of, for example, the CSRD reporting requirements, or Corporate Sustainable Reporting Directive. For other companies, it's still a little bit here, but much more is coming. If you're making car batteries, then you are faced with the requirement to put a battery passport together with this battery by February 18th, 2027, I think. Don't quote me on the exact date there, but early 2027. So for these organizations, there is indeed a compliance issue that's just very, very urgent, right? I think the bigger challenge, though, that lots of companies see is that there's this sort of drift or trend towards a circular economy, right? In 2030, half the European economy wants to be circular. 2050, we want to be the first circular economy. And there's an awful lot of companies right now out there that have at some point in their production chain or their business model, there's sort of the underlying assumption that they can always get cheap materials and get rid of waste. And if those assumptions are broken, then that fundamentally changes the way this organization has to do business. So the challenge I think a lot of companies are faced with is how do you overcome that? And part of that is technology development, supply chain collaboration, and transparency, right? So where the Surpass and the product passport projects come in. But part of it is also a little bit more fundamental. It's just rethinking your business models and thinking, is what we're doing here really going to keep working, right? So I'm not sure if that's exactly the answer to your question, but it is sort of the fundamental challenge that I'm seeing. But maybe Pankaj, you have a reaction or thought on that as well?
Yes, so sure, you very well mentioned about this compliance issue. And I feel that with a lot of buzzwords available in media and academic literature, industry publications, and so on, there is a feeling of FOMO as well, fear of missing out. So some industry players, they just want to have something related to AI to say that they are also providing a leading edge solution, something like that. So that's one issue. Secondly, some industry players, like in the hospital sector or medical sector, they are concerned about the ethical issues as well. So we have been facing those ethical issues with our challenges announced in the healthcare vertical. That and finding a right answer to that is again a challenge. So it's like we are learning by doing. But there is still a lack of adequate knowledge or guidance on the ethical aspects as well as the legal and regulatory aspects. So we do have a General AI Act, but now then if there are some industry-specific issues with regards to the use of AI technologies, or like I give example of space sector where major player is Boeing, who is part of the project, and they have a lot of legal regulatory compliance issues coming up again and again, and a part of it because of lack of adequate information, or you can say lack of very clear information. So several elements are overlapping in several sectors, and it's very difficult to identify which one is applicable where. So ethics and compliance, these are the two issues which are where we are lagging behind. By we, I mean the projects or the European Union, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is a lot of noise, let's say, about the AI Act, and just a few days ago, these guidelines were published to clarify how to deal with the more complex cases of the prohibited cases of AI. Still, there is the need to explain what are the consequences in PERS, for example, given that we are dealing directly with people and with industrial workers. Of course, the ethical issue is very, very crucial to, and we are addressing it very closely in order to make sure that the technologies that we use actually help them and don't bring any kind of additional issue to their operation, or of course to their work as such, because that of course is another big topic now. So when we talk about environmental sustainability, the risk of greenwashing is high somehow. So I would like to understand from you how you, let's say, deal with those things, and how you think that is the right way to convey the environmental topic when talking about AI on the one hand, or even circular economy on the other hand, Sjoerd. Because I mean, circular economy per se is a way to improve and to reduce potentially the impact, but how to get there and how to get into the right conversations may be hard. What is your experience?
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, getting the transition going here, right, from where we're currently at to a fully circular economy. It's one of the things we've noticed there is that if you want to move to circularity, you need to move with a group of organizations, and the first one to take a step doesn't necessarily reap the most benefit, but they do have to do the most investment, right? So there's like a common action problem there. That's just difficult to break through, and there, in my mind, government and regulation does really help, right? It helps if government just pushes a sector and forces them to get moving, because then everybody takes a step together. The alternative, if you do sort of have the societal expectations of sustainability rising, and you do not have legislation to actually enforce it, I think that's when we get this sort of greenwashing going on, right? Where companies want to present themselves as more sustainable than they are. To me, a big part of the problem there fundamentally is that as a consumer, I haven't really got a way of checking the statements of a company, right? They can claim that the flight I'm taking is carbon neutral because they've only fueled it with clean aviation fuel, or that the clothes I'm buying are sustainable because they're made from recycled goods. But I have no way at all of checking that. All I can do is just believe the statement from a company. And that, I mean, some companies are, of course, truthful in what they say, but we don't need a lot of them to be non-truthful for trust in this entire system to break, right? Which is, I think, a little bit what's happened right now, right? Most of us do not necessarily trust companies that make sustainable claims. So from my perspective, an important way of solving this is by opening up sort of the value chain, increasing transparency, and as a consumer, giving me the option, right? I don't necessarily always have to do, but giving me the option to check where the products come from. So if a clothing supplier says these jeans are sustainable and made out of reused fabrics, for example, I can check where those fabrics are coming from then, and what they were used for before that, and who made them before that. In theory, there's still probably going to be ways that as a company you can sort of manipulate that system, you can tamper with it, but the cost of doing so will rise, the chances of getting caught will rise, the impact of getting caught will probably also become bigger, right? Because it's so clear who's at fault, that I like to think, and I hope, I believe, that the risk system there in companies, right, their judgment will make it so that they will either not make the green claims or they will actually become more sustainable. And then, of course, you have a whole system around this where you could do auditing, right? And you can do send people to check in person, which is, I think, now with the green claims legislation coming in, right? That makes it illegal to do greenwashing, basically. That's probably the path that legislators will have to follow to some extent. But value chain transparency, to me, is the systemic solution to this, and that's well, what I'm working towards. But it's taking it takes a bit of effort, right? It's difficult to get these sectors to move, as you mentioned. It's a complicated transition to go through. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you touched at least two points that I found really. In general, I agree with what you said. Two things that I think that are in common also in different scenarios. One is transparency. So I mean, I've been working with data sharing and data interoperability technologies for the last 20+ years, and so for me, sharing and the transparency of data in a context, because of course when we deal with industry, there is also a bit of resistance that in part is of course justified by commercial reasons, but in other part maybe not that justified. So we have to solicit the sharing and the transparency of data, but because once the data is shared, everything else comes easier. The second thing that you touched was fact checking, let me call it like this. So actually being able to understand the data, because data per se are not necessarily understandable, and to bring the case that we are addressing in PERCS, there is also a matter of explainability. So how we can not simply share information with the final user, in your case, the consumer of a product, in our case, for example, the user of an energy grid that goes and just plug in their electric car to get recharged, but how also we can explain to them what this means. So in PERCS, one of the scenario is, okay, making people understand that maybe their car is not charged immediately, but it will be charged later, in order to avoid energy peaks, and so to avoid potential negative effects on the global ecosystem, let's say. So this part of getting the data, but also explaining and involve the user is really a hot topic, because if we can fact check and if we can share, we can also somehow promote awareness of all the actors, both on the industrial side, but also on the societal side. So Pankaj, do you also address this idea of explainability or fact checking? And in your project, what are the trends that you see in this regards?
Right. See, this is one area where we differ from CPAS in a major way, because they are into circular economy and we are not. But if you look at it from a different perspective, we do look at the computational cost of various activities, including the microgrid, like you mentioned. So, so computational cost or the energy consumption cost, those are the issues that we are looking into. So it's not directly, it cannot be directly mapped against circular economy as such, but the two projects are different. So the things we look at is completely different from CPAS, but still we do try to keep a track of the computational cost. Basically, that's the term we have used, computational cost or the environmental cost of various systems or activities or the processes or the algorithms, whatever is being developed during the course of this project, as well as which is being implemented at various, you can say, with industry players or SMEs. So that's what we are keeping an eye on.
Okay, so I would love to also to discuss a bit the societal part, let's say, of what we are saying. We are already touched a bit on that, but I think that today is more and more important to make the final user, the final consumer, the people that are maybe not be directly involved in a specific context, in a specific industry, to make them aware of what's going on, and to involve them in a positive way, so that they can be positive actor of this. So, Pankaj, do you want to comment on this?
Yes, we do have an explicit task, you can say, or the activity in our project, where we are trying our best to engage the communities beyond the technical user group or the project partners and others, so as to communicate the project results as well as the issues overall related to the 4 pillars that we have identified, to the general you can say general society or community, in terms of what is happening and what are the challenges we identified, and so on and so forth. So we are trying to reach beyond the tech community or the industry sector or the research or scientific communities, in order to raise awareness about what is happening in terms of the policy or the regulations or the ethical issues or our project findings. And we are trying our best, but again, like we discussed at the opening of this webinar, it's still an emerging technology. Although it's maturing at a very rapid rate, it is still an emerging technology, and there are many unexplored issues or unknown issues for all the players, be it the scientific community or the engineering or the commercial entities, the major AI or generative AI tools providers. So there are various uncharted territories which are being explored, and it will mature in, let's say, in the next 3-4 years, hopefully, when we will have some concrete directions, or you can say SOPs, in order to deal with the you can say repetitive issues, or those which are common in different industry sectors and various so at the society level as well. So that's the overall view I have on this issue.
So thanks a lot. So, Sjoerd, do you think that also this digital product passport, the concept, can help in engaging users in a conversation, at least, with the companies?
Absolutely. However, let me take the different perspective here. So, because I think turning sustainability in general into a consumer issue, right, I'm really not sure if that's the way to go. I feel like that's something we've tried for the last 30 years, and it's primarily served the not sustainable companies. So when it comes to product passports, the pilot lines we have in Surpass are all B2B pilot lines, basically, right? Or almost all of them. You can also see in the legislation, the primary focus there is on large enterprises in B2B value chains, and for the most part, product goods that are not directly consumer facing, right? I mean, most of us don't really care too much probably about the battery pack in their car or the construction material used in their house. We care about the properties of the car itself or the house. So this is all abstracted away a little bit from the consumers. And to me, that makes sense, because if you really want systemic change, we want organizations to change and businesses to change, and for them to become more sustainable. And that will then lead by itself, in a way, to consumers making more sustainable choices, because that is what's being offered. And of course, consumer demand can really help, right? And that's what we're seeing now, is the front runners are doing this. They're doing sustainability or product passport because consumers are willing to pay a bit more for that. But that only works for the front runners that can use this as a unique selling point. And if you want the whole economy to move in that direction, by definition, it cannot be a unique selling point, right? It has to be business as usual. So that is, I think, what I'm trying to change, is what is business as usual. And then consumers will just, it will happen to us and we won't really notice. It will just hopefully be a more sustainable and more circular future. So for me, the focus really is on informing businesses and B2B applications.
Yeah, I would like to challenge you somehow, because I think that I totally agree with you. But I think that there are 2 points that I struggle with. First of all, because organizations are made of people. So this is one thing. So how to convince organization, in the end, it means how to convince people. On the other hand, I feel that somehow in some cases there is a lack of demand from final users. So yes, now it's being sustainable is on fashion, let's say. So it is true that consumers are more interested in sustainable products, but I'm not sure if that is enough to get a push from the consumer side on the organizations. So I was wondering if you have any idea on this.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm not sure if there's enough consumer demand to really move industries, right? So in textile and clothing, you do see some of this, right? There are some brands, Patagonia would be a fairly well-known one, right? All about sustainability, and people are willing to pay a hefty premium. But if you look at their gross revenue, they are vastly outnumbered by the fast fashion brands that are not doing that great for sustainability, right? So I agree with you. I don't think consumer demand is enough, which is why I don't think we should be making this transition being driven by consumers, because then we're starting on the back foot, right? At the same time, you are of course right. If you do not consider this, right, and don't consider consumer involvement, then we're also missing something here, because there is of course an important sort of mind shift to take place in well, not just the consumers, but people working in these companies. What I think the difference though is that if you're trying to convince consumers to make the more sustainable choice, the implicit sort of thinking there is they're going to have to pay extra for a more sustainable product. Whereas if you're trying to change the system and businesses, there's a few more levers you can pull. For example, one of the side benefits, if you will, of a circular economy, besides more sustainability in the ecological sense, is that you can also keep using critical raw materials in your economy. And that, for a European perspective, right, we don't have that many ways of getting our own critical raw materials. That just improves our strategic autonomy. Or for a company, it lowers the chance that your company or your factory has to shut down when a ship gets stuck sideways in the Suez Canal, for example. That is a consideration that me as a consumer, I do not make when I'm in a store, right? I'm not thinking, well, if I buy this product, I could not buy it if supply chain breaks down, because that's not, I'm there now, I'm buying the thing in front of me. Whereas the manufacturer of these products may want to consider these kinds of topics. And because of that, would be willing to invest a little bit more into a sustainable or circular supply chain over a long period to mitigate this risk. So point being, yes, we need to involve people. We need to have a mind shift there. But if you go for a B2B and a systemic change, right, there's more ways than just the warm and fuzzy feelings that consumers have, which is me being a bit derogative of that, of course. But yeah. So hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, thanks a lot for this perspective. And of course, the topic is really complex, so it's hard to summarize it in a few minutes. So our time is almost over. So I would like to do two things. First of all, I kindly ask Antonia if she can share in the chat the link to the survey. So we kindly ask all the participants to this webinar to compile is just a 2-minute survey, and of course to suggest us topics that could be interesting for the coming webinars of our series. And I would like to ask you, let's say, what is your perspective, or what is your ambition or dream for the next period within your project or beyond? So what is the challenge that you really wish to solve in the next month, or what is the big research trend that you want to address in the next period? So Pankaj, do you want to start? You're muted.
Sorry, I was looking at the survey, so I lost part of your question. Can you please repeat?
Yes, what is your ambition or your dream for the next period? So what is the main challenge that you want to get solved, let's say?
See, I am a researcher in the field of risk management. So my view is on my vision is that the AI technology or solutions should be safe and secure. So these are the two S that I'm always concerned about, safety and security. And for that, we are trying to develop a comprehensive safety and security risk assessment framework in our project as well. But I don't think that it would be useful beyond the Enfield's scope, because the technology would have changed a lot by the time we finish this project. So it has to be a dynamic system. And overall, all the projects or all the activities, be it from the regulatory perspective or compliance perspective or policy perspective or standardization, scientific research, engineering, industry, whatever, the two things that I think they should be concerned about or looking at is safety and security. So that's my vision or expectation from the big AI, I would say. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we cannot do anything but agree with you. Sjoerd, what is your ambition?
Right. So I think for product passports this year, 2025 will be a really big one. So to highlight a couple of things that I'm excited about, in the Surpass 2 project, in about 2 months or so, we'll be publishing the DPP system architecture that will be used by all these pilot lines, right? And that's, for me personally, also exciting because that's TNO's primary deliverable in a way. So I'm looking forward to that. Our colleagues or competitors, however you will, but the formal standardization effort in Europe on digital product passports by JTC24 from Sensenelec, they will also publish their DPP system design, right? It's slightly different in scope, but that will be published towards the end of this year. So that's also a big moment, right? When it comes to defining what the system will look like and what its capabilities will be. And then besides that, we will have the first pilot lines in Surpass really starting to implement this year. So by the end of this year, we should see how this works out in practice. And in parallel, in the Netherlands, we will also be setting up sort of Dutch versions of the Surpass project with Dutch pilot lines. So that's, again, unrelated really from this the Surpass project, of course, what I'm representing here, but still for me personally, something I'm really looking forward to, how all these different European and Dutch initiatives will be coming together to sort of clarify what this buzzword of product passport really means, and what we can do with it, and show its value. So yeah, by the time this time next year, that if there will be another webinar like this, we should be having a very different type of conversation, I hope. So that will be that's something I'm really looking forward to. Yeah.
So thanks a lot. I can say that both of you are really putting your challenges in getting impact. So I think that this is really important for all of us. From that, I mean, we are all researchers more on the technological side, but we care about our technology and our work to have a concrete impact in the world. So I'm really happy because this conversation that started on environmental sustainability actually is about sustainability at large, I would say, because we talked in the end about also economic sustainability and social sustainability. So I'm really grateful for what you said during this event. And I think that if I can share my dream, it's really similar. We are just in the middle of the piloting, the first piloting period of our PERCS solutions in the three pilot sites. So we will, in a couple of months, we will have the direct feedback of industry workers about how and how much our solution actually bring value to them, to their everyday work, and how can have a positive impact on the future of their respective value chains. So said that, I would really like to thank both of you, Pankaj and Sjoerd. It was really a pleasure to have you today in this webinar. This webinar is being recorded, and for all the people that are following today or will follow later on the YouTube recording, of course, you are completely free to contact us and to discover more and ask us more questions or more detailed questions about the topics that we cover today and possibly others. So thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Sjoerd. Thank to everybody who joined this webinar today. Enjoy the rest of the evening and the coming weekend. And we see you another time for more perks and another webinar. Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Sjoerd. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Have a good
Thank you.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.